Listening to Community Comments, here's our host, Kevin Haugen.
Well, thank you very much, and good afternoon. Welcome into today's Community Comment. Again, I am your host, Kevin Haugen. It is my pleasure to welcome into our Daily Dodge TV studio this afternoon the Chief of the Waupun Police Department, Jeremy Rosh. Chief, thank you so much for taking some time out of your busy holidays are around the corner, so it's a busy stretch for law enforcement, so I appreciate you coming in and chatting with us this afternoon.
Yeah, thanks again for having me. I enjoy coming on the show.
Yeah, no, we always appreciate when members of law enforcement or the fire service career industry members come in and talk with us about things that are happening with their agencies. It's been a bit. We'll talk about it in just a couple of moments, but we discussed it just briefly before we came on air, just how busy of a month of November it was for your agency. And just earlier today, a press release was issued about a month-long investigation that finally resulted in an arrest. And we'll dive into that in just a few moments as well as the always exciting winter parking that's right around the corner. So we'll dive into that as well here on Community Comment today. But if you do have a question for our guest this afternoon, you can call into the program at 885-4446, or you can text 887-9595. Again, the phone number is 885-4446 if you have a question for our guest today on Community Comment, Waupun Police Chief Jeremy Rosh. We had the Fire Chief on right before Thanksgiving, so I guess it's only fitting that we have the Police Chief on right before Christmas, which is just a few weeks away here. But Chief, I want to kick things off today, highlighting a press release that just got issued this afternoon, detailing, as I mentioned, a month-long investigation that resulted in the arrest of an individual at a residence in Lomira. This person is facing multiple counts of child pornography. It's anytime those words are uttered, it's a serious investigation, something that law enforcement takes very seriously. But I want to sort of ask. When it comes to the Waupun Police Department, there was a big collaboration with the Dodge County Sheriff's Office because obviously we talk. This is in Lomira, so it's a part of their jurisdiction. So if you don't mind, just speak to what that collaboration looks like and just getting those agencies together involved, and ultimately, like we saw just a couple of days ago, executing a search warrant with both of these agencies assisting each other.
Yeah, and it's common practice that we work, together, and we work well, effectively together, and on a regular basis. It's not just regular investigations. We're a part of teams together, such as the Dodge County Drug Task Force, the Child Abduction Response Team, and so on. We have an officer on their SWAT team, and it's common that we work investigations together. Mm-hmm. So not just Dodge County, but also Fond du Lac County and other local jurisdictions. So with this incident, the complaint came in a number of months back, and our investigators investigated the complaint to the point where, all right, now we know where the subject is. We have everything for evidence that we can get leading up to a search of a residence to attempt to obtain more digital items that we can process with the crime lab or with DCI, Division of Criminal Investigations. So when we get to a time of a search warrant and it's outside of our jurisdiction, or even sometimes in our jurisdiction, we need help, or we need, the sheriff's office assistance because they have jurisdiction in other municipalities. So this subject that is under investigation lives in Lomira. So obviously that's outside Waupun. We needed Dodge County to assist us with conducting a search warrant and obtaining more evidence from that. So yeah, ultimately this 38-year-old man was taken into custody for 10 counts of child pornography and 3 counts of exposing genitals to a minor. So like you said, very, very severe incident that we had to investigate.
Yeah, and those charges will be referred to the Dodge County District Attorney's Office. Will work its way through the court system. And you brought up an interesting note that I just want to spend one additional moment highlighting, and that's jurisdictional boundaries. Obviously, when Waupun, it's the city of Waupun. That's where your agency primarily works out of and investigates cases and makes arrests in that limit. When a complaint like this comes in and it's in the village of Lomira, which is, again, I don't need to state the obvious, outside of Waupun, where Lomira contracts with the sheriff's office, is that something then Obviously, in this case, your detectives continue to investigate for several months and ultimately leading up to an execution of a search warrant. But in some cases, then does that complaint that get handed off to the primary agency with jurisdiction in that area? Then they take that over. How does that process work?
Right. With this case, the victim was a resident of Waupun, so that's where the complaint came in. And now we got to find the suspect, and where is this suspect at? And once we do that, then we keep the original complaint. They're the charges that we refer to the DA's office. And the DA's office ultimately decides what charges they're going to present to the court.
Gotcha. So, if the complaint originates from the city of Waupun, then that's how that essentially begins, and we take it from there. And then if it, like you mentioned, if the suspects you realize they live in Theresa or Lamira in this case, or outside of the city that you guys currently operate out of, then you look at bringing in different agencies to support.
And, on a side note, we have another similar case that we're investigating, and the suspect's in Texas. So now we got to get out-of-state authorities involved in that.
Is that something that, again, I keep saying, I only got one additional question. I promise this is my last question on this. When it comes to engaging with out-of-state agencies, how do you feel like that process goes? Is it challenging to stay on a level of communication where you can get stuff sent back and forth, or is it a smooth process?
I think nowadays it's a lot easier than it was. When I started, obviously you got more technological advances. So, but for the most part, law enforcement is willing to help other law enforcement as well. We try to work together. We know that they're bad situations or incidents that we have to investigate, and they might not want that person in their community if they're doing acts like this as well.
Yeah. Again, we're chatting with Waupun Police Chief Jeremy Rosh here on Community Comment. Again, if you have a question for the chief, you can call at 885-4446, or you can text 887-9595 if you have a question during our Community Comment today with Jeremy Rosh. And Chief, another topic that we want to highlight here while you're with us on Community Comment is some department updates. A couple of those involve staffing, some training, but the big one obviously is a position that was funded by the city, and you're essentially applying for or getting applications right now to fill that role.
Yeah, we're super excited. I feel like we've needed this position for a number of years now. It's a detective investigator position. So currently we have a lieutenant of investigations, and he handles a majority of the upper end or higher tier investigations. Obviously, Deputy Chief Sullivan was in that position in the past, so he can assist, but he's got a lot of administrative roles that he has to complete. So yeah, we have a open process right now. Applications are due by Friday this week at 4 p.m. We're looking for any interested parties that have experience. It doesn't necessarily have to mean you're a detective already, but if you have experience in some investigations and some additional training in that realm, we would love to see your application.
Is this something that, say, like you mentioned, they don't need to necessarily have extensive career time as an investigator? Is this something that if they don't have that, they would go for additional education or different updates in regulations or process or rules as things change? Is that something that this position would entail?
Yeah, and we're always training. So, I envision this, if the person didn't have the necessary training in certain areas, we would send them to that training, such as like homicide or death school, some type of processing, scene interrogation type or integrity type schooling, interview interrogations, if they would need some interview skills training, things like that.
Is this a position that works a specific shift then during the day?
This shift is going to be a little bit more flexible, but I need to see some hours on second shift, like 3-4 times a week, until 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night. But that being said, if let's say there's a daycare issue and you need a Thursday off, I'm more than willing to say, hey, you want to come in on Saturday or Sunday to work those hours, or maybe you got to work day shift that day.
Sure.
But. And it's also going to incorporate general investigations and drug investigations. So we belong to both the Lake Winnebago Area Mag Unit and the Dodge County Drug Task Force. So we need somebody that can has maybe a drug would like to get involved in drug investigations, and you know,
Yeah, dive into that world. I mean, obviously that's a big problem in our area, just with the rise in fentanyl it being an issue. So, yeah, and there's plenty of opportunities there to and cases to solve when it comes to drug investigations. So, definitely a need to have somebody on board to do that. So, is there a website or a place that somebody can go then to learn more or get more information
Yeah.
or apply?
You can go to waupunpd.org, or you can go to WileyNet. It's a DOJ site, and or you can go to citywaupan.org. The process application is on there.
Fantastic. And this may be testing my memory, but I believe WileyNet, that's WILEY.net. WILENET.
No
Y.
But there's I think a .doj in there now.
All right.
So
I
they
could
changed
not.
it up.
I couldn't remember if there's a Y or no Y. But
No Y.
No Y on there. So again, people can head to those sites and find out more and apply for that second investigator position with the Waupun Police Department. We mentioned that training is such a big component of working in law enforcement, and there's a couple of members that completed some field training and other trainings here just in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, excited that Officer Cole Bryce, he's one of our newest hires, right? He passed field training and is on solo patrol. He's been on patrol solo for about 2-3 weeks now, so kudos to him. And then Officer Adam Schnell, he's been with us for a number of years now, and he was selected to be a field training officer, and he completed that certification, I believe, in late October.
Fantastic. So with those recent graduations out of trainings, and obviously we don't have that position filled yet, but whenever that second investigator position is filled, where is Waupun Police Department when it comes to staffing? Is it pretty much all positions filled, or do you got a couple left that you're looking at?
We're close. So we have a conditional offer out there where a candidate is likely going to start in the academy in April. He can't go to the January one, but with his retirement from the military, he'll be able to go in April. And then we are in one process, a current patrol officer process right now, and we're sending one candidate to the Police and Fire Commission. So we'll see where that ends up. So at that point, we would be full staff on paper.
Fantastic. And being fully staffed helps when things get busy. And it's been a busy stretch of November for the Waupun Police Department. Had a bit of a lull there, I believe you mentioned, between July and August, kind of a chance to catch your breath, catch up on some paperwork maybe that needed to be done. But if you don't mind, just take us back to the month of November and what your officers, what you went through during that stretch.
Yeah, November, it just right out of the gates, it was extremely busy with criminal arrests. You know, we made 34 criminal arrests, and for an agency our size, you know, over one a day, that's quite a bit. That our typical number is usually in the mid to high teens, so you're looking at over double what we would normally have in a regular month, right? You know, you look back at, I probably talked about it in April and May, how we were swamped. Mm-hmm. I think we were in the upper 20s one of those months, and so it's kind of interesting with law enforcement, the ebbs and flows, and how some months are, you know, less activity and some are more, you know, and you look at the holiday season, that typically picks up law enforcement activity and arrests from what I've seen throughout my career. I mean, I remember a year that I was on patrol back in the day when I was working night shift. I had 9 criminal arrests myself in a 6-day work week. Wow. So
I'm assuming you've never ever gotten close to hitting that number in your years since. That's the high mark.
That's the high mark for me.
Yeah.
So,
and it is something that we've talked with other members of law enforcement on, and it's, you know, a lot of people, you know, they see the show Cops, and you see the arrests, and you put them in the squad car, you take them to jail, and a lot of times people think that's it. Your job's done. You arrested the criminal, you arrested the bad guy. Now it's up to the court to figure out what happened. But there's a lot of work that goes into the process following an arrest. A lot of paperwork, a criminal complaint that needs to be written up, potentially court hearings and dates that need to be attended by officers. So it is a long process when, again, those cuffs get slapped on. You're not just done on that in that moment.
And it's not just the officer. You know, now we got to collect the discovery, the evidence, provide that to the DA and to the defense, right? Or we might have to redact certain information out of certain reports. People do records requests, you know, because they want to see what's going on. It's a constant process until the end. And you're talking about initial appearances, prelims, motion hearings, and then possibly a trial of some sort.
Yeah, and another thing that I've noticed that the Waupun Police Department does a great job of, and people can check this out on our Facebook, is just providing a briefing, essentially, of just the previous couple days' activity, highlighting certain arrests, certain criminal activity that had gone on. So I think it does give a good idea for members in the community. It's just a quick little snapshot of what your agency has been dealing with over the last couple of days.
Yeah, and I think for us, and I think for the people who are on social media, they want it brief. They want to know a quick snapshot, like you said, of what's going on. They don't want to read multiple paragraphs every week. This is what's going on in my community. I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah, it's a great resource for members there to just keep a close eye on and just say, hey, this is what's happening in our community. And I'm sure, again, that's not an easy thing and a quick thing to do for officers who are already busy doing a lot of other tasks and responsibilities, or the administrative team there at the Waupun Police Department. So I'm sure members there and are appreciative of the time and effort that goes into putting that out on social media. Again, our guest here on Community Comment today is Jeremy Rosh, the chief of the Waupun Police Department. If you have a question, you can call 885-4446 to get on Community Comment today. But with the few minutes we have remaining in our program this afternoon, want to make sure we hit on a very important and timely topic this time of year, and that is winter parking. So, Chief, what do residents out there in Waupun need to know when it comes to winter parking?
In Waupun, residents, visitors, if it snows and we accumulate 2 inches or more, you cannot park on the streets for 48 hours. So I'll explain what we typically do. It snows, and we typically measure at there's a local measuring location at the safety building, and we typically measure at about 11:59 because we need to know if we can cite or enforce the ordinance at 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. that following morning. Now, if there's 2 inches or more, that's when we go out and we cite the streets, the cars parked in the streets that morning, and then the following morning as well. And the reason for the following morning is because often, not always, but a majority of the time, the Department of Public Works has to come out and clean the piles of snow that may be piled up that they couldn't get to the first night. So the first night, they're in essence trying to keep the roads clean. The second night, they're trying to clean up the piles and the leftover snow. Now, we all know that there may not be piles of snow on every street, but that's the easiest way that the ordinance could be written.
Yeah, and if somebody is found parking on the street during winter parking rules, what's the fines or associated penalties that come with?
There's a $20 parking citation. And then if somebody wanted to contest that, we would have to void that citation and write them a city ordinance citation for $187, and then they could go to the Beaver Dam Municipal Court and contest that citation there.
Yeah, it's interesting note that, Beaver Dam's Municipal Court handles a lot of the municipal infractions in nature and things that you had mentioned, Chief. For Waupun, Columbus, I want to say, there's a couple of the communities that I am not going to be able to remember off the top of my head, along with Beaver Dam, of course. But so if that is to be contested, if somebody feels like they were not fairly given a ticket in this situation, then is it just calling the police department and saying, hey, I'm contesting this? And
typically they would probably come down and meet with myself or the deputy chief. Yeah.
Gotcha. And what and obviously with snows this weekend, so this is important potentially. I'm no weatherman, so please do not hold me to any sort of
sunshine and 75.
Yeah, that's right. See, that's what we're going to have this Saturday. But at some point here in the next couple of months, we may be getting some snow. Is there a place that people can go to, or do you recommend just coming down to the police department or calling if this is, they don't remember what the rules are and they just want a refresher on what takes place when a snow event takes place?
Yeah, you can go to our website again, waupunpd.org, to look at the snow regulations. If we know early enough that we're going to be citing, so if it's not 11 o'clock at night. If it's earlier, we're likely to post on our Facebook page that we will be enforcing winter parking. We try to do that as much as possible, but if it's, the snow doesn't pick up until 11 o'clock, I'm probably not available to do a post because I'll be sleeping.
Which I think is a fair assumption to make for those in law enforcement. They need their sleep as well. And for those watching on Daily Dodge TV, you can we have a little graphic up that recaps what the chief had mentioned. So if you want to take notes for the citizens out there in Waupun, be sure to head to our YouTube page, Daily Dodge TV, and watch Community Comment there, and you can get a quick rundown of again the winter parking regulations there in the city of Waupun. And you mentioned that declarations made that people are follow the city Facebook page, the Waupun Facebook Police Department Facebook page, and a lot of those declarations are made online that people can visit and check those out. So they are given a fair warning that those rules will be enacted.
Yeah, especially if there's a snow declaration. So the city is going to push that out, and we would additionally push it out on our media as well as the fire department. So if there is a snow emergency declaration, that will definitely be pushed out each time.
And that's interesting, as opposed to, it's different. Every community is a little different in how they structure their winter parking rules. And obviously in Beaver Dam, we have pretty much a window where it's enforced from when the mayor officially declares winter parking rules are in effect, which I believe took place just a couple of weeks ago, and then till April 1st, I think, is the latest that it can be kept in place, but it can be called back if the weather improves by then. But in Waupun, essentially, if it snows in May, these rules come back in place. Whenever there's a snow event and there's going to be an accumulation on the ground, these rules will be enacted.
100%, and we've seen it in May. I've seen it playing golf on a golf course in May in Wisconsin.
Yeah, it's not uncommon to get some snow in the month of May, unfortunately, in the state of Wisconsin. So again, keep a lookout. Follow online with the Waupun, the City of Waupun Facebook pages and the police department there. They will update when those rules will be enacted. But again, we just have a few minutes left here on Community Comment today. With that time, we want to give the chief an opportunity to highlight a few of the activities, community events that are taking place with the holidays just right around the corner.
Some great things that have happened that we've been a part of in the past week or two, and then moving forward. So earlier this summer, and I think it was in August, we participated in the Police Lights of Christmas event at Culver's, and Officer Effort and Deputy Chief Sullivan attended the handoff up in Green Bay, and they brought back $2,000 worth of gift cards that we can give out to families that are in need in the city of Waupun and surrounding areas. So we're starting that, and then another additional thing is the Waupun Holiday Help. So this has been going on for, 15, 20 years now. And Danielle, my front desk records clerk, she wanted to get involved. What can we do to help out? Well, why don't we put a toy bin, collection point right at the police department? So we filled that thing up a couple times and got that to that organization. Again, Shop with a Cop, both Fond du Lac and Dodge County. Last week we participated with the Fond du Lac County event, which was, again, a great success. I had 6 staff assist with that. And, again, it's to help out, kids in need or kids that are going through a tough time. Often my wife's, like I told you, my wife's a special ed teacher in Fond du Lac. So if any of her kids, students get selected, she often comes along. And so then we request to have her students, so she can effectively help them, get through that
cool.
shopping event.
Very cool.
Cool thing that we're going to be participating with is the Beaver Dam Elks Christmas Basket Program. So that's been going on for 70-plus years.
Long decades.
So, that's
decades.
Coming up on Christmas Eve morning. 500-plus families throughout the county get...
You packing the food, delivering the food?
I think just delivering. Okay. I'm a delivery guy.
You're the driver.
Yeah.
Great.
So I'd be like the delivery guy from Jimmy John's, hopefully,
Yeah, that's awesome.
No, but all these events, thanks for donating. And then the last event I want to push out is Saturday is our annual Breakfast with Santa. event in Waupun out at the Rock Country Club, 8:30 to 11 a.m. Get your tickets. You can get them at a couple places in Waupun. Santa will be there, and we'll be there as well.
Fantastic. And just one last quick note here before we say goodbye to our guest today. All these activities and community events are a great opportunity for members of the community there to interact with members of law enforcement and get to recognize your faces, and instead of just seeing a badge all the time. It's a great way to interact in the community in that respect, and get a chance to introduce yourself and be a member of the community, essentially.
Right, and I think we're getting buy-in from, sometimes it's always the same people doing the same, the community events, but I think there's more buy-in by the staff, understanding that, we need the community, they need us, we need to work together effectively, just to make that safe, safe community as a whole. So just by them helping out, it creates transparency and just a great working relationship and partnership with others.
Fantastic. On that note, I want to thank our guest here on Community Comment today, Waupun Police Chief Jeremy Rosh. Chief, thank you again so much for coming in today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And that will do it for today's Community Comment.
you